Superman!
Thank you.
No need to thank us, sir, as we will not appreciate it. We have no consciousness whatsoever. Merely automatons here to serve. Meet 12. She's new.
He looked at me.
14 fractured bones.
Damage to bladder, kidney, large intestine, lungs.
With a healthy dose of yellow sun, we'll have you up and at 'em in no time.
Level 4?
292 times Saharan Prime, please, one.
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. The Superman movie uploaded the full 5-minute preview. There's a whole bunch of new footage explaining a little bit about what's going on with the movie, so we'll break it all down. They even flat out reveal who's playing Jor-El in the movie, confirming a big theory. Everybody thanking James Gunn for releasing a shiny HD version of this so we didn't have to go see the Minecraft movie just to get the actual footage. There'll be even more footage that they'll release with the next big trailer in front of the Thunderbolts movie in the next month too. So it's going to be like a whole summer full of Superman stuff going on. Like they said, they are going all in on Superman this year. Just starting at the beginning of the footage, so the idea here is that basically just presenting an extended scene from the movie with a little bit of trailer and montage stuff at the end of the clip. This first clip is meant to be the same first clip they revealed from the teaser trailer where you see Krypto dragging him back to the Fortress of Solitude, now confirming that that is the home that he's talking about. There were a lot of questions about that, like where is home to this version of Superman? Is he taking him back to Kansas? Is he taking him to the fortress? Now we know he's taking him to the fortress. And the clip serves as a big tutorial on how this Fortress of Solitude works in this DCU universe. David Corenswet also talked a little bit about the way that Krypto works as a character in the movie, and you kind of get the vibes from that during this clip, where he's meant to be a very, very misbehaved dog. Like, more trouble than he's worth is the way that David Corenswet explained him in the movie. Like, Superman thinks that he's almost more trouble than he's worth. It seems like Superman just got his ass kicked. Not clear who he was fighting. It might be that evil clone version of Superman that we're just calling Ultraman in the movie right now that Lex Luthor creates. Don't worry, we will explain that because James Gunn started talking about pocket universes, sorcery, like crazy stuff concepts that they get into during the movie, so we'll get to that later in the video. But he gets a bunch of his bones broken and his ass kicked in the Arctic here. He whistles for Krypto, dog whistle so that he can hear him, comes running through the snow, and just treats it like another day of them having fun. Like Krypto just thinks that they're having fun. If you've ever tried to train a dog, then you kind of understand what's going on with Krypto here. Like the worst behaved dog ever. He bites him a bunch of times, and because he has superpowers, Krypto's teeth are able to pierce Superman's skin. Like it really does hurt him. Even though he got his ass kicked, he's still yelling at him like, Krypto, stop it. He kind of understands when he tells him to take him home, and you find out that they're literally right next to the Fortress of Solitude, like they're very close to the Fortress of Solitude. When he starts dragging him to the door, notice the way that he emerges out of the actual snow here. It's almost like the fortress itself is buried most of the time, and that's just like a security measure in how anybody and their sister couldn't just walk in. The way they visualize this in the comics, the way the fortress itself functions, is a little bit different from comic book writer to comic book writer. But at least in this case, it looks like it forms out of the crystals here, like it basically just grows out of the ground here anytime he wants to enter. And when he's not around, it goes into more of a lockdown mode and recesses down into the ground. But at any given point, there's sort of like this core part of the actual fortress itself, and it just grows larger anytime he needs another part of it. So it's not quite a Doctor Who TARDIS situation, bigger on the inside, but it can grow bigger as he needs it to get bigger, or if he ever needed it to get bigger. More Krypto lore for the movie. They reveal that Superman is actually just serving as a dog sitter for Krypto, and Krypto's real owner in the movie is actually Millie Alcock's Supergirl. She's the one who's mostly taking care of Krypto, and I think the idea is that she brought Krypto to Earth when her pod came to Earth. There were a lot of questions about how they'd explain Krypto's origin story in the movie. In most cases, like in the classic Superman comics, Krypto was a Kryptonian dog that just eventually came to Earth. That is how they explain his powers. He got his powers the same way that Superman and Supergirl have their powers, through the yellow sun. Supposedly during the movie, Millie Alcock's Supergirl shows up at the very end of the film to pick up Krypto and leave planet with him, like, oh, thank you for watching my dog for this time while I was away. And that'll also be how they explain Supergirl isn't around during the events of the movie to help Superman against Lex Luthor and everything that he does. So it makes it sound like Krypto will also be in the Supergirl movie next year. He's also part of the comic book that it's based on, Woman of Tomorrow, so it makes sense that that's the explanation, that Krypto really is Supergirl's dog, not Superman's dog. Another big important reveal, too, when he's dragging him to the fortress is you get more of the classic score for this movie. So a lot of tones of John Williams baked in here, but this is meant to be brand new music that was written for the movie, which actually sounds pretty solid. James Gunn has been very open that there are a lot of vibes of classic Christopher Reeve Superman baked into the movie from that era of the classic Superman movies. The other big mechanics they're explaining with the way the Fortress of Solitude works here is that only people with Superman's DNA or coded to similar DNA can actually enter. So for example, I think that Supergirl could also open the fortress door here. It would just respond to her presence. And I think that's the reason why the fortress is growing out of the ground here too, is because it senses Superman's biological presence is nearby. Even though the way they reveal it here makes it seem like the door activates and opens with the Superman symbol when Krypto barks at it, I think that's just because Superman is sitting right here. And that's how Lex Luthor, the engineer, and this evil clone version of Superman, Ultraman, wind up getting into the fortress because he's a clone of Superman and he's just standing right in front of the door. So the door probably just thinks that it's regular Superman and opens. You also notice it looks like they polished a lot of the special effects. I still think, like most movies, they're going to be polishing the special effects while it's still in theaters this July. That's usually how it goes. Like, they're not done with the actual special effects when it's time to actually release the movie. Same thing happens on every Marvel movie ever that gets released. Like Avengers Endgame, the special effects were still being polished weeks after the movie was out in theaters. Love the way they make it seem like Krypto kind of understands the way the fortress works, like he's looking up at the door waiting for it to open. If it wasn't clear here too, when the door is activating and opening, the yellow here is solar energy, like it's all based on solar energy. When he drags him into the main hall here, and the robots here, like Kelex and the other robots come up to help him, notice this is meant to be like the main part of the fortress, so when it goes down into the ground, this is the only part of the fortress that exists. And the next big reveal here is that Alan Tudyk's mystery character, if he's not playing multiple characters, is Kelex, number 4 here, the number 4 robot.
Meet 12. She's new.
He looked at me.
Love the way he's playing it very earnest and robot-like, like, thank you for complimenting us, but we wouldn't understand that because we're robots, we don't have emotions. Love the way he feels the need to actually explain that to Superman. These robots are based more on All-Star Superman. A lot of All-Star Superman also inspired the movie, the story and the design of the movie as well. I can't quite tell who the other actress is for the number 12 robot, but you notice like they all have distinct personalities. And I love the way that she geeks out on Superman looking at her, like, he looked at me, he looked at me. When he says she's new, I think the idea is that either the fortress itself is relatively new, like he's only created it recently and all the robots are being fabricated, or she's a replacement robot for one that got destroyed recently. My assumption is that if we get a look at Krypton and Jor-El and all the stuff in the movie, we'll actually see versions of these robots in Jor-El's workshop to explain their presence here. Next really big reveal, if you actually listen to what's happening in the background here when Krypto drags him into the fortress and the robots rush up to help him, is you can actually hear somebody talking in Kryptonian in the background softly, and I think this is meant to be Jor-El, and it sounds like Bradley Cooper, so I think this confirms the theory that Bradley Cooper is playing Jor-El inside the DCU movies. My guess is that they're revealing his voice in this very early clip. We'll actually see him either in the next trailer or in one of the trailers at some point, like Bradley Cooper or Jor-El. Really, really cool get. Like, obviously, Bradley Cooper, longtime James Gunn collaborator because of all the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff. Even though he's not at Marvel anymore, Rocket Raccoon's version of the Guardians will continue to be a thing at Marvel in future movies. We'll probably see them during Avengers Doomsday or Secret Wars, so Bradley Cooper is still doing Marvel stuff in the background too. But this time you'll actually see him as Bradley Cooper's face on screen as Jor-El. Then the robots take him to the operating table where they heal him using the power of the sun and Kryptonian technology. You can kind of hear them whispering in this low level here. They're speaking in Kryptonian, like the robots are speaking in Kryptonian to each other. Notice how when they activate the healing device, it actually rotates the Fortress of Solitude. This is actually really cool technology here, the way they're visualizing this. The only reason why you didn't see them doing this during Christopher Reeve era Superman or during Smallville era Superman, where they did a lot of Fortress of Solitude, is mostly for budgetary reasons. Also the fact that special effects were way more primitive back then for them to do stuff like that.
Level 4?
292 times Saharan Prime, please, one.
When he says 290 times the Heron Prime, he's basically talking about the strength of the level of sun they want to focus on Superman. Like, basically build it up to a massive 290 times level of normal sunlight. The only ways for Superman to get bigger doses of solar radiation is for him to literally fly into or through the sun, which he has done in the past. Basically like getting the biggest vitamin shot that you could possibly imagine. But part of the idea is this huge dose of solar radiation activates Superman's healing factor, like he essentially has a Wolverine or Deadpool-like healing factor. Zack Snyder got into this a little bit during Henry Cavill Justice League Superman era, Man of Steel era. Notice when the sunlight activates through the focusing device here, you get a little bit of that classic John Williams theme. Love the way they're baking that into the movie. Then we get a montage with a mixture of some new clips and some old clips with polished special effects that make them look different, or longer versions of scenes. So we get Superman saving that little girl, hopefully her neck isn't completely broken for the rest of her life. Superman flying past Lex Luthor's office at Luthor Corp. Notice we get a little bit longer version of the scene where he says he's back, as if he's just come back from fighting somebody. We get a little more context for the kaiju here that he winds up fighting. So even though this seems like a real big fight, supposedly Lex Luthor is the one that unleashes this kaiju on Metropolis. Then we get another scene of him with Lois at night. This is from the previous trailers, but it's a slightly longer version of the scene. Notice he's holding the cup like it's at the end of the day, after it seems like he's been fighting villains and helping people, but in the background, you see Green Lantern fighting this giant monster here. And because the special effects are way more polished, we get a much better idea for who this actually is from the comics. And it might be the Solaris creature from the Grant Morrison Superman 1 Million run. So it just seems like he's enjoying a night with Lois Lane, dealing with all of his problems from the day, while there's still more problems going on. But because Earth has so many heroes, there are people like Guy Gardner Green Lantern to take care of it while he's doing this. We get more scenes of that foreign conflict happening in whichever country this winds up being. I think the idea is that Lex Luthor is also manipulating events in this country too. Something is happening, he's working with some foreign power to take over this country. Then we actually got a little more information about what's happening in this scene here with Lex Luthor, the gun, and Superman in these weird-looking cages. Supposedly, this might be a pocket universe because James Gunn said that pocket universes were going to be a big concept during the movie. So I think the idea is that Lex Luthor has found a way to create a pocket universe or has gotten access to that technology like we saw during Peacemaker. The whole twist, they didn't really explain it that much on the series, but his father was meant to be a technological genius. So that's where the pocket universe in that show came from, and this one that Lex Luthor has is not too dissimilar from that. And I think the idea is that Lex Luthor stores a lot of his test subjects, things that he's working on in here, like really, really illegal, really weird stuff. And at some point in the movie, he's able to trap Superman in this pocket dimension. This is meant to be Mr. Terrific using his T-spheres with more polished special effects, saving Lois Lane from a bunch of these Luthor Corp mercenaries here, and it seems like it's happening in the same foreign country that Lex Luthor is trying to help this foreign power take over. There's been a lot of talk about their body armor too. Notice it's color-coded to look similar to Lex Luthor's armor suit from the comics in the classic animated series. So I think at some point, maybe not in this movie, but in a future DCU movie, we'll see Lex Luthor in the full armor suit. We get another scene of Metamorpho with a slightly better look of him with more polished special effects, but also at CinemaCon, there was some different trailer footage that they didn't put in this trailer that actually showed more of his character, like a fuller look at Metamorpho. People actually said he did look really cool. Now, because we have the context of the other clips, we can say that this is probably Superman talking to Kelex, who's been destroyed in some way. Maybe Superman's evil clone or Lex Luthor's other minions have just destroyed him, and he's basically lamenting his death. But the whole idea here is that he's trying to explain that he's just an automaton, he doesn't have emotions, but Superman has grown to care for him, like he's grown to care for this robot. But just in general, the footage looks way more polished, and obviously the longer clip of them revealing the Fortress of Solitude and his relationship with Krypto, just the general vibes for what's going on with them, actually seem really, really cool. What'll probably happen in the next big trailer, though, they release with the Thunderbolts movie is you'll get more of the actual story itself, like what's actually happening during the movie, instead of just a vibes trailer with very little dialogue. Like, we'll actually get some more real dialogue. But everyone, post all your reactions in the comments below. If there's any Easter eggs or references that I didn't talk about in this video that you spotted in the clip, just write them below in the comments. Don't worry, we will get a bunch more footage for this very soon. You could just tell at a certain point this morning, Warner Brothers got tired of taking down all the pirated versions of this footage, so they uploaded a shiny HD version. Everybody click here for my other big Superman trailer video, and click here for my Avengers Doomsday Chair Watch trailer video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.